Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Better Business, Better Together. The idea of what we've been doing and we've been talking about in this series is to bring together business owners and people from different companies of different sizes to share their thinking around how to deal with the uncertainty of COVID and moving forward in terms of what the future has to hold for us and what we can both keep in mind in terms of what we need to be cautious about, but in our minds, but more importantly, what is going to be something that we can actually look forward to, something exciting, and what could some of the new maybe unforeseen opportunities be. And so what we've been doing is we've been harvesting thinking from these different companies, multinational from Kwok, the commercial director of consumer health at Johnson & Johnson. Amit Chatterjee, the founder and CEO of Shadow Factory. Cheung, the founder of ArtJamming. And myself and Teresa Norton, who have been contributing from our side of things as well, in terms of where we think basically some of the different ways in which people from all sides of our society can contribute to the dialogue and contribute to the sense of being in it together. And so what I'd like to do to begin today's section is basically to look at this idea of where things seem to be going in terms of the new normal. And how could this idea of the new normal actually improve employee engagement? And what I was hoping to do actually is maybe start with Amit. You guys have been doing some really interesting work, being at sort of the forefront and the cutting edge of technology in the form of virtual reality and augmented reality. And what I'd like to maybe ask you about is, like, you work with a wide range of industries. You had mentioned in a previous episode that there is some interesting ways in which your company is evolving, and there are demands that you maybe have always envisioned but are only now coming true because of the circumstances. And so, I mean, I guess, what are some of the different ways that you've seen specific to engaging employees, with specific ideas that maybe come to mind for you and things that we could all maybe be looking forward to in the coming years?
So I think, part of the opportunity with the technologies that we play with is that they are already very collaborative and very interactive. And so being able to drive opportunities to use them where it's like we're not using them as a gimmick, but now we're using them for real purposes has been very exciting for us. So like on an internal level, when we're doing our work from home sprints, we make sure that we have a stand-up meeting. We replicate as much as what we do in the office as possible over the virtual meetings. So like we'll do a stand-up meeting 3 times a day, which actually is pretty rigorous if you think about it, because the morning call, you get started, everybody chimes in with what they're going to do, but then you've got your breakout sessions and your team calls, and you actually have to do the work, and you've got another call coming where you've got to report your progress. And so that keeps everybody kind of in this foot race to like keep going. So by the end of the day, we have our final call, and it's like, it was actually quite productive. We had a lot of fun, and like people are calling each other and like, dialing into the wrong sessions and things like that. So like, it's actually pretty invigorating, and actually puts a spring in our step in terms of like changing the way that we do things. It's a nice way to break old habits and not feel monotonous and all that. And what we found is when we do finally go back to the office, we're just getting bored with the work from home pattern. So getting back to the office becomes productive in a fun way again and all that. So we've actually been able to use it to shake things up in terms of the way we collaborate with each other. And then in terms of what the tools allow us to do, the tools allow us to obviously bridge these gaps and create these virtual spaces where, we'd never have a chance to collaborate with some of these people because they're either far away distance-wise or weren't ready to commit to using our type of solutions. So that's been fantastic to see people bring the context with them and be like, I really need VR now because of this, or I really need augmented reality now because of X, Y, and Z needs. We're seeing a lot of stuff from industry-wise from event companies that are like, we can't do our large-scale events anymore. How do we move them into a virtual space? And how do we make it exciting and interactive so that let's say we have talent performing like a band. The band isn't just performing the music that they play; they're also interacting with the audience. So it's not just to put people in a virtual venue and have the band playing. The band needs to see the audience react and enjoy the music, and vice versa. The audience wants to see the band, like call them out and like be getting excited. So how do you recreate that interface in a virtual environment? Those are some of the problems we're getting to solve right now, which is very exciting.
Very exciting.
That's fascinating. That's really cool. Thank you very much, Amit. I appreciate the sharing. Well, one of the things that Teresa and I talk a lot about, and is something that is talked about in general, but sometimes not always practiced as thoughtfully, is that we always talk about wanting to, for a leader, to engage your teams as you would engage your customers, to put the same amount of thought into a meeting with your teams as you would put into a meeting with a client or a customer. And I mean, you've just shared a little bit around, engaging teams and interesting ways of being able to do that in this new normal that we're all living in. I guess I'd like to open it up to Chloe and to Betty and Teresa, to yourself as well, just in terms of like, what would be if we were to then shift that and say, okay, so let's looking at consumers, looking at customers. What are some interesting new ways that we could reinstill a sense of trust with them, re-engage with them, and any ideas or tips or techniques you guys may be employing? Chloe, I mean, I'll open it up to you.
Yeah, I think it is very inspiring by hearing what Amit share, how they also leveraging the technology of the company to engage with the employees and also the clients. I think one of the things that we are using more nowadays, already like actually start maybe 3-4 years ago, is to leveraging more of the key opinion leaders to really share the product science and information with their followers. So it is actually not something very new nowadays, but definitely because of the current pandemic, people like spending more time in front of their screens, and then all the video streaming, etc. We actually see the behavior shift. Like the behavior shifting to like more digital, more online. So that does definitely also impact us on how we engage with our customers. So instead of like selling 30-second commercials, which is like a very traditional way, 10 years ago, it is what we are doing. Right now, we are leveraging more different diversity of the connections with our customers and consumers in view of how we communicate our product science and then also the benefits to them. So I think this is something that we change in terms of how we engage. Obviously, with our customers, we all learn to connect virtually and also like learn to like discuss our business plan more like in a virtual context. I think that's also another interesting thing that we sort of go through the journey together.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. Yeah.
I can jump in with something really short and quick, is that I am consciously speaking with clients using Zoom and talking about the fact that this is not a screen, it's a window, and it's an open window, right? It's an open window, and it's an open window really into people's lives now, because so many of us are working from home. You're not just talking to me in your office or in a business context. You're being welcomed into my home, and I'm being welcomed into your space. So I think that's a really interesting thing to recognize and to actually say when we're talking with our customers. I'll pass it over to Betty.
Well, we've never been a big company. Even at our biggest, I think we were with Wellington Street and a couple of pop-up shops here and there. I think we had maybe as many as 3 directors and 10 employees. That's the biggest we ever got. And in those days, it was sort of more important to do a lot of training and so forth, and a lot of get-togethers, and we had a lot of social events and so forth. But with all the extreme changes in the economy and all the protests and COVID, we're actually down to 3 people now, total. And that's everybody. And we've all been at it so long that actually kind of our way of training and coping with each other is to not talk about business. And it's really, we actually try to take it a little bit outside of work. Even when we're at work, we're talking about everyday things and trying to be more human. In a way, we're treating our each other like we treat our customers. So this is the thing I enjoy the most. We're really tight now.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this whole idea of, they talk about sort of social distancing. One of the things I'd like to talk about is it's physical distancing. Socially, we're actually in many ways becoming a lot more intimate. I mean, I know that with people that I care about in my life, family, friends, and I know for our team as well, there's sort of this new sense of being in it together. And that's using these technologies hasn't really been a boundary for us to be able to really feel a sense of being connected. So yeah, the new normal is, it is what it is. And there's things that we can certainly do to take steps to accept what we can't control, and then shift mindsets if need be, and shift behaviors if that's what's called for. So I thank you very much all for your contributions, and for everybody who's watching, please leave comments below and click on the link. We've got a treasure trove of all kinds of activities, some of the things that we've been using here during our discussion, as well as some of the interesting little tips and tools that StarMaker developed for leaders and for teams to be able to engage in a more dynamic and human way. See you guys next time.
Hello, I'm Jose Bezanilla, CEO of Great Place to Work for Greater China. Wow, episode 3, the new normal. I don't know about this, but it's kind of an interesting thing. And Sam made an amazing statement saying, we have to take steps to accept what we can't control. That's an interesting phrase that deserves a little bit of thinking. But what about what Shadow Factory was telling us about bringing excitement through technology and the interaction of the team? That's a very, very interesting idea to explore. And I'm pretty sure they can help, and there's a lot of tools around. And then the thing about treating our team as we treat our customers. Wow, very, very powerful idea as well. This is very useful and very needed today, because the human touch will change the interaction and the dynamics on the team. And remember, we are trying to build a better workplace. We are trying to build more meaningful relationships. So the new normal changes, but the core keeps on being the same. We need better interactions and better leadership, better relationships. We need to get trust up. And these ideas that were shared here are really, really powerful. So again, congratulations for this, and hopefully it's very useful for your team. Thank you. See you in the next one.